Hi, everybody. Kevin Barheit here. Thanks for tuning in. We're in the middle of a series about the 5 pillars, so if you haven't checked out the first 2, Pillar 1 and Pillar 2, they're already up. When I make a decision to work the first pillar in my life and I go to meetings on a regular basis, I'm making a choice. And when I make a decision to work the second pillar in my life, getting a sponsor and working with that sponsor, I'm making another choice. And this is where the third pillar comes into play, making a choice to work the 12 steps with my sponsor. Because addiction isn't a choice, but recovery is a choice. Working the 12 steps is a choice. And making that choice may seem impossible at the beginning, but that's all it needs to be, is a decision. So I want to segment this into 3 parts. Part 1 is step 1, 2, and 3, getting to the decision. Then steps 4 through 9, acting on the decision, and 10, 11, and 12, living the decision. 1, 2, 3, getting to the decision. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, acting on the decision. 10, 11, and 12, living the decision. Having a sponsor to help me work through the first 3 steps was just indispensable. I knew that things were broken. I knew that things were wrong. I could barely spell my last name and couldn't put a sentence together when I came in, but I couldn't understand how that made my life unmanageable, and I couldn't understand how that made me powerless. The most important thing that a sponsor helped me with, my sponsor in particular, Richard didn't tell me that I was powerless. He didn't tell me how I was unmanageable. He shared his experience, strength, and hope on how he came to accept the first step in his life. And that made all the difference in the world to me. Moving from the first step to the second one was a little bit of a jump for me. I had an understanding of a higher power, but I didn't understand that higher power would care enough about me. And Richard really helped me to understand that's how he felt when he came in. And understanding that I could have a concept of a power greater than myself that was different than any one that I might have had before, but in particular was one that could accept me for how I was at that moment, was going to be pinnacle. But here's the real key. The kicker for me in the third step was really difficult because the wording of it. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. Boom. There's just so much packed into that. And when I work with folks now and I talk to them, I talk about it the same way that my sponsor did. I share my experience, strength, and hope. Now, the key is for me, people get really stuck on this. What does that mean? Do I turn my will and my life over to the care of a higher power? Does that mean I'm just a puppet? No. In the 12 steps, there's a logical order. We really recommend that you work the steps in order. We just talked about step 1, which led to step 2, and step 2, which led to step 3. So when we make a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him, we're making a decision to do something next, and that's the 4th step. The 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 is really where we take action. These are action steps. These are the ones that really change us deeply. They change us profoundly, and they're also some of the hardest work we'll ever do in our life, but they pay off. They're worth it. And I wouldn't have wanted to work this program without my sponsor, and I definitely wouldn't want to work the steps in general, but I really am glad that I got a chance to work with my sponsor on steps 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And I'm grouping those together because 4 and 5 really go together, and I have seen so many of us come in, do steps 1, 2, and 3, get to go to some meetings, even get a sponsor, and then fall off and not work those steps and relapse, or not continue to work the program and live a dry drunk. The 6 and 7 has been incredibly important. My sponsor really gets to know me and help me to understand what the character defects are and helps me to keep tabs on those and work on those. It's an ongoing process, and it also deepens my relationship with my higher power. And 8 and 9 are 2 of the other steps that we put together. Making amends to people is so important, and doing it with the guidance of someone like a sponsor is just critical. We can really, and I know I can really trip over making those amends and make things 10 times worse than they were even before I tried to make the amends. But what's really important, in addition to my sponsor helping me through these steps, is that my sponsor gets to know me. I'm letting one other person in this world get to know me at that deep, profound level. And why does that really make a difference in my life? I've done the steps 3 times now in the past 30 years. And every time that I've done them with my sponsor, Richard. Not only did he know me from the first time we did the steps, but he's known me through all the work we've done together and all the years we've spent together. And that allows me to completely trust him and him to really guide me and be there as a partner in this. And that's been really helpful and important. And now that I've worked with my sponsor on getting to the decision in the first 3 steps, and now I've taken the time to work with my sponsor through the rest of the steps 4 through 9 and putting action into that decision. Now in steps 10, 11, and 12, I begin to learn to live that decision in all the areas of my life. And one of the best ways I do that is to watch how my sponsor does that. First and foremost, I know he sponsors me. So one of the things I do is I start to reach out to newcomers. I start to find a way to carry the message to other people who are still suffering. And as I begin living this decision in everything that I do, it deepens my relationship with other people as I work the 10th step and keep my side of the street clean by making amends where I need to. It deepens my relationship with my higher power through my prayer and meditation in the 11th step. And it deepens my relationship with the world at large through working this program and practicing these principles in all my affairs in the 12th step. The end result of working the 12 steps in my life is sobriety. And my sobriety allows me to have choices, new choices, different choices, choices that I never would have without these 12 steps. Without the sobriety that the 12 steps provides, even if I'm not drinking or using, I'm still stuck. Stuck in addictive thought patterns, stuck in addictive behaviors. Working the 12 steps removes the barriers, removes the obsession, removes the compulsion, removes the character defects and past regrets that stand in the way of making new choices, making a new life, and making a new me. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Make sure that you click on some of the other videos. If you haven't seen the other pillars, make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Click like below, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Take care. See you next week.